All right, so today we are talking about multiplying and dividing fractions. So everybody should have a foldable. We are going to fold this just like the other two foldables that we had last week and this week. You're going to fold the edges in to the middle, fold the edges in. Okay, and then you're going to make two cuts so that you have separate flaps. And then this should be glued into your journal, glued in like this, okay? So again, this is a review from 6th grade. This is nothing new, but we're gonna go through the notes, the foldable, as if it were new. This is totally a review from 6th grade. So we're multiplying and dividing fractions and multiplying and dividing mixed numbers. Just like when we did add and subtract, we had regular fractions and mixed numbers. So they're pretty much, we're gonna follow the same steps, but we're gonna go through the notes as if this is totally new to us, okay? So multiplying and dividing fractions, we do not need common denominators, okay? So we don't have to worry about common denominators like we do with adding and subtracting. Multiply the numerator by the numerator, so top number times top number, and multiply the denominator by the denominator, so bottom number times bottom number. And then, of course, we always want to simplify if possible. Simplify if possible. So we're going to start with these steps for multiplying fractions. Multiplying is, I think it's easier than adding and subtracting because when we look at our example, we just have to multiply straight across. Okay, we don't have to make common denominators or do really any steps before we start multiplying. So this is our problem, 3/4 times 6/15. When we're multiplying fractions, we can leave it horizontally like this. We do not have to write it vertically like what we did for add and subtract. We do not need common denominators. We're going to start by multiplying the numerator times the numerator, so top number times top number. Then multiply the denominator times the denominator, bottom number times bottom number, okay? So we've got 3 times 6, which is 18, and 4 times 15. So on your paper, I want you to do 4 times 15. 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6, so 60. So top times top, bottom times bottom, we should get 18/60. Now again, we want to make sure that we are simplifying if possible. So what we want to think about is, can the top and the bottom both be simplified by 2? Okay, so let's think about 2. So 18, I'm going to bring it down here, 18/60. 18 can be divided by 2. 60 can be divided by 2, so let's start there. Divided by 2 on the top, divided by 2 on the bottom. 8 divided by 2 is 9. 60 divided by 2 is 30. And we see if now we can simplify any more. 9/30, well, let's think. I know 9 can be divided by 3, and 30 can be divided by 3, so let's start there. Divide by 3 on the top, divide by 3 on the bottom. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 30 divided by 3 is 10. So 3/10. That's as far as we can go, so that is our final answer, 3/10. So all we need to remember for multiplying fractions is you do not need common denominators. We're just going to multiply straight across, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator, and simplify at the end. Okay? Let's move on to dividing fractions. So again, we do not need common denominators. Do not need common denominators. We're going to multiply by the reciprocal of the divisor. What does that mean? Okay, so we are going to keep the first term, change the division sign to multiplication, and flip the second term, which would be the divisor, and that gives you a reciprocal. When you flip a fraction upside down, that's what we call reciprocal. And lastly, we want to simplify if possible. Simplify if possible. So what we need to remember for dividing fractions is this little trick, keep, change, flip. Hopefully you've heard that before. Keep, change, flip goes for dividing fractions. Keep, change, flip. Okay? So do not need common denominators. All we're going to do is keep the first fraction, change the division sign to multiplication, and flip the second fraction. And then we're going to follow the multiplication rules. Okay? So keep 3 over 8, change division to multiplication, and flip the second fraction. So if we started with 9 over 12, we're going to flip it to be 12 over 9. All right, and then now it's a multiplication problem. Now we follow the multiplying fractions rules. So top times top, bottom times bottom. Okay? So 3 times 12 is 36. 8 times 9 is 72. Okay, so 36 over 72, we want to simplify by 9. Divide by 9 on the top, divide by 9 on the bottom. 36 divided by 9 is 4. 72 divided by 9 is 8. And 4 over 8, if I want to bring it down here, that can still be simplified. You can simplify by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So our totally simplified fraction is 1/2. Okay, so let's move on to multiplying and dividing mixed numbers. All right, multiplying and dividing mixed numbers. All right, we want to change to improper fractions first. We cannot multiply or divide fractions while they're mixed numbers. So we want to change to improper fractions first using popcorn. Okay, so popcorn means if this was our fraction, 2 and 4/5, we're going to multiply 5 times 2, which is 10, and then add 4. So 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14 over 5. You keep the denominator. Okay, so let's practice with this one. 7 times 3, which is 21. 21 plus 4 is 25. So it should be 25 over 7. 25 over 7. Okay, so we need to always change to improper fractions first. Then we follow the same rules as multiplying and dividing just regular fractions. So let's look at this example. Okay, so we need to popcorn both of these first. So 2 and 4/5. All right, 5 times 2, 10, plus 4 is 14 over 5. So they're the same fractions as right here. But we'll practice. 3 and 4/7. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 4 is 25 over 7. So now the problem should be 14 over 5 times 25 over 7. Okay, so we're going to follow the same rules as multiplying fractions. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Okay, so straight across. So we're going to do 14 times 25. So we'll do that over here. 14 times 25. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 2 is 7. Carry your 0. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. So really small. 350 is what we should have got. 350 over 5 times 7 is 35. All right, so if we've got 350 over 35, 350 over 35, we need to, this is an improper fraction, we need to change it back into a mixed number. So the way we change this back into a mixed number is top dog in the house, which means we're going to divide it and put the top number in the house. So I'll use this white space over here. 350 in the house divided by 35. Okay? 35 can go into 35 one time. That gives you 35, 0. Bring down the 0. 35 goes into 0, 0 times. So 350 divided by 35 gives you 10 is a whole number. That's okay that it's a whole number without a fraction. 10 should be our answer. All right, and let's move on to dividing. So we're using the same fractions, so when we, actually no, we're not using the same fractions, but we're using the same idea. We're gonna popcorn this. So 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. 14 over 3, and 2 and 4 ninths. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 4 is 22 over 9. So now let's write our problem out. We've got 14 over 3 divided by 22 over 9. Okay? So if this is a division problem, we're going to use the same rules as dividing fractions. So keep, change, flip. Keep 14 over 3. Change to multiplication. And flip the second fraction. So 9 over 22. And then we're going to multiply straight across. 14 times 9. All right. 14 times 9. 9 times 4, 36. 9 times 1, 9, plus 3 is 12. So 126. And then 3 times 22. 22 times 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6. So 126 over 66. Okay? And this can be simplified by 6. So 126, wherever you have room, divided by 6. 6 goes into 12 2 times. That gives you 12. 6 goes into 6 one time with 0 left over. So 21 over, and then I know this one by heart, 66 divided by 6 is 11. And we need to make this into a mixed number. It's an improper fraction right now. So 21 over 11, so top dog in the house, 21 over 11. 11 goes into 21 one time. That gives you 11. 1 minus 1 is 0. Whoops. Yeah. 2 minus 1 is 1. 11 cannot go into 10, so we're going to make our fraction 1 whole, and 10 over 11. And that is our fully simplified fraction.